Is it on, Steph?
Yeah.
Okay, good morning. Welcome everyone. Pierce County Board of Commissioners meeting. It's Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. It's 9:32 a.m. Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Present.
Jim Marlowe.
Present.
Jim Raising.
Present.
All right, moving right on into the agenda. HSA funding. And I put flyers on in October. That is our open enrollment. And I think it finally makes sense for a lot of our employees to start looking at the HSA. And what I'd like us to talk about is front loading the HSA, the $600 that we pay for the HSA involvement, the employee into that plan. And I think we should front load it. I think that would be a good enticement for employees to sign on. And I think we need things going on in the HSA as part of that plan. Is there any discussion on that? Is it a good idea?
I think it is. Good idea. So what would you do? You figure out the number?
Well, right now it's a $600
Yeah.
contribution from the county, and of course the employees can put in the matching funds
Right.
with that. But right now we give it to the employees at $50 a month.
Right.
So it's accrued over the year. And I think we probably run the risk if somebody were to get in the HSA and then leave halfway through the year, we would run the risk of losing that contribution. It would just be whatever that prorated portion of that would be. I'm just thinking about just an enticement, a way to incentivize them to go into the HSA.
It doesn't cost us anything in the long run.
No.
When you look at an annual budget, it does make it a little more attractive. I kind of want to watch my wording. I'm the only employee in the county that uses this. I also sit in this seat, so I don't want to say anything that sounds like I'm trying to talk people into it. But I think this makes sense to try and get more folks, so. On it. Yeah. But it doesn't cost us anything. And maybe we'll help some of the families move over and save a little money.
Like I said, that starts next month. October's open enrollment. So we'd like to see as many employees jump onto the HSA as possible. All right, so then, I don't know, do we need to vote on that?
I think you just have to advise the plan as to how you're
Okay.
looking.
So I'll send a letter advising them to preload the $600. Okay, thank you.
Are they gonna start administering one?
Yes.
Okay.
That was,
Right now.
I know, and that was the last word that I got from Jacob, is that we wanted them to administer that plan. And the person that will be doing that for them was on vacation the week before last, this week. And I haven't had a conversation with him since I found that out. So, but they're supposed to figure that out for us.
You know who's supposed to be administering?
There's somebody up there in
I don't
their
know if
office.
it's Katie or,
Katie, maybe that was it. I think that name, of course, I've heard her name several times. And I will be seeing Snecker people this afternoon. So I'll ask her about that. We need to look at the 24 pay 25 tax extensions. And this is something that typically, whoever the chairman is would just simply sign this. But I actually had some questions about it. And I thought it would be a good idea, just another reason, the exercise of trying to make it transparent as possible. We'll be talking about this for a few minutes. Actually, I know maybe you had a couple of concerns about this.
Well, I think you're familiar with how this works. Amanda's office does, we submit a tax levy in December of the prior year to be used for the extensions for when bills come out the following year. So, I mean, obviously, submit your 24 tax levy, and now we're doing an extension for 24 pay 25. In the past, these numbers have to be manipulated. All taxing bodies do this based off of what their needs are. So money has to be moved around in some form or fashion. The issue is, or the question is 2 years ago, it appears that almost every line was changed in some form or fashion. Money was put up in different spots. Last year, the only thing that was adjusted that we could see was just the public building commission lease was increased to 2 million because that's the minimum amount that has to be paid for the lease agreements. But, and so it had the corporate amount reduced by the like amount to increase that to 2 million. So, the board needs to, decide if that's, what route they want to do, if there's any other monies that they want to move around. I know in the past, I talked to George yesterday, sometimes there's a minimum amount that he needs for highway to be able to do any matching that he's required to do either with federal or state, and to make sure that we've got at least enough funds on hand for him to be able to act quickly, if money becomes available, levy periods come up. The other stuff is, I guess, it's kind of arbitrary because we've got budgets that were approved and the dollar amounts don't even match. There's multiple ones that we levy on behalf of that had higher amounts that were approved in the budget that were not levied at that amount. So, I mean, I think we have the county has the authority to levy for whatever they want, but the question is why does the budget not reflect like those levy amounts that are listed on? And then I went ahead, this is off of a new DevNet system, and this is the tax computation report for everything. And
Can I ask a favor? You're gonna have to increase.
oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I'll borrow your glasses. Oh, that's better.
You can't read that, Jim?
Sorry, I can't.
Not even with my cheaters on, I can't read.
The guy with eye problems can read it.
You have bionic eyes now, man, as much as it costs.
Is that better, or do you want me to make it bigger?
Mine naturally tells me.
You want me to make it bigger?
You can make it
If
bigger.
it's the same that I have here, if it's the same that I have here, I can.
It is, yeah. I mean, each one of you have one of these. I just have notes outside of it. I mean, I'm doing adjustments.
Percentage on the IP increase in size.
I have 125. Keep going.
You can just hit the slider there. It's-
Okay.
Close one up.
And I can read that if you guys can.
That's, I have to freeze the paint on it, I guess.
I think actually the question that we were looking at from the board perspective is when an entity, and I'll use Pike County as the example, when an entity submits their tax levy, and say they want 450,000, that's their wish. You guys go through the budget process and you may say, well, out of our funds, we're only going to give you 410. Do you guys send a notification to them that say, thank you for your levy request? We only approved 410 as opposed to the 450? or how do they find out that their budgeted amount of requests has been reduced and to what amount? That's question one. Question two, from what we looked at yesterday, Ashley and I have had some conversation about this, is it seems as though there was a reduced amount by the board, which you're entitled to, which is what Ashley was saying. But then when the taxes came in, that amount was reduced even more. And so you guys may have approved 380,000, but they only got 207. So why or how does that happen? Was there another reduction that people missed, or was there, that's where we're scratching our heads trying to figure out where this makes sense. And the reason why is Kevin from Pike County reached out and said, hey, this is what it showed I levied. This is what it shows was approved, adjusted.
And
I
this
think
is
it's what
where they got paid.
and this is what they got paid, which is 200,000 less than what was approved and adjusted. So he's trying to just understand the process as to how do I budget for what I'm supposed to budget for? Because one, I didn't know that it was adjusted. Two, even though it was adjusted, I still got 200,000 less than what I thought was adjusted.
So help me understand then from your office on the disbursements, what tells your office what to disperse?
The extension. So for example, okay, so just 28 is by counties. If you, for whatever reason, we levy for by county for health, and then we levy a separate amount for their IMRF request. So their salaries and insurance and everything else outside of IMRF, they have requested $392,722. That's in this budget book request. We gave them $261,470 is what was given to them. From that $391 or $392,000 request.
And that came out of the budget.
Well, I mean, the 261, I don't know where it came from at all.
I don't know.
Because I got Michelle bringing up the budget book, but the budget book, it says 400,000, I think, for the 24 page 25 letter. So it says 400,000 that was approved,
Reduced from 5.
the year prior, down to 4. But then the levy portion that was submitted was 261,470. And then because of the PTEL limitations and the overlapping districts and the TIFs and everything else, then you end up netting to this 258,153. So like last year, I gave them overall like $370,000. And the year before, I think I gave them like $390,000. I mean, they never, so I mean, they weren't even at that, I think the 23-24 levy, 23-24 levy was for half of it. It was supposed to be 500,000.
540,000,
Yeah.
718, 11 cents.
And I gave him 300 and so, but I was never going to, because last year I think the levies were, everything maxed out. So whatever you asked for, because of all the adjustments that the assessor's office made with all the various things, everybody basically got the full amount that they asked for this year. So it was never any higher than that. And that's not way for all of these. You got, child advocacy, they asked for 35,000, we, I guess, gave them 25. Well, on here, it says we're giving them 26,000 and change. I don't know where the number even came from or why, we levied, for that amount.
Well, I know with the mental health, sometimes they'll, have their budget, then they add maybe 10% request. And just whatever comes in.
Well, right,
Because
but
they know that
But theirs is a separate levy.
that's a separate levy that they have, that they submit to,
The one we're talking about are the county general levy that then you guys
well,
internally
mental health,
parse out.
we parse out to.
Well, no, but then you parse out.
but they're in county.
Yeah, mental health is this one right here.
Okay.
Set it away.
So you mentioned that, I think you mentioned the IMRF would not be in that because it's in a separate line.
Yeah, their IMRF request is 202,000. We gave them 121,000.
That was a separate
That's a
request
separate-
of theirs.
Well, it's in their levy request.
I guess that's my question of, do we have an issue where these entities are turning in a budget that is the overall, and that we're splitting it out in multiple lines, and we need to be adding those lines?
So, I mean, I could copy this, but, so this is.
This is the document I was given, and I think this is a county created.
Yeah, so seeing the 540 is a total, including what we would have in IMRF and Social Security. So we need to go into each of those lines and pull bits out.
Right, so the IMRF without IMRF is 352.
Okay,
So if you guys did it,
but you've still got Social Security, and you've got other lines in here, insurance. We need to go pull those out too. So that'd be another 100, just from in rough numbers. That'd be down to 250.
yeah, this is what Smart did, so that's what we did.
I just got two different sets bookkeeping here.
So I asked, like, on this particular one, you know, my question was, I called Kevin, and so like, for ROE, for example, ROE gives you an entire budget, and then each respective county, you know, pays their allotment, you know, so like, you know, Williams County pays 60%, you know, one pays 20, one pays 15. So I asked him if, like, the budget that this levy budget request that he submitted to the county, was this the entire budget, or was this just Williamson counties, and then does he submit a separate one to Franklin County? He submits a separate one, independent of this, to Franklin County. So this is what they have requested from us. So we took it and, you know, went through it, and somehow we greatly reduced it, but I don't think we ever told them, you know, what they were getting. And they don't ever, none of these entities that we levy on behalf of see this. It's just, you know, the commissioners, you sign off on it, we plug it in the system and finalize it. And then, you know, I do all the calculations, and I do the distributions based off of what, you know, this extension request is, and basically everybody gets 97 or 98% of what they extend based off of, you know, the payments plus the tax sale, and the rest of it goes, you know, unpaid by, and goes to the trustee program. But from what I can tell, none of these people, other than just, you know, here's your check and it shows up, this is what you get. And I don't think there's never been any relaying of information. I mean, Kevin was under the impression, which, I mean, yeah, they need to do the work and figure out what they're getting. At the same time, he was like, I was under the impression that you guys were giving us what we asked for, because there's never been any correspondence to provide differently.
First time hearing it.
So,
And I, just from what I'm seeing, I'm not convinced we're not. They're not getting it in that line, but if you take what they get from the Social Security line, what they get from the IMRF line, what they get.
they don't, the social security line does not go, that social security line that's in there is all the counties. I don't send a separate, like, social security portion to them. I mean, their levy is in the mental health. We don't, so like, I understand where you're coming from. So for, like, ROE is different. Like, we, you know, have to pay a portion of their salaries, and so some of that flows through, and then we reimburse, and it comes out of, like, those separated lines. This, I just cut a check directly to them and hand them the money. I mean, ROE, I don't give any money to. It's a budgeted line item in our budget, and it's not a, you know, that extension education is actually University of Illinois. That is not ROE. So that's what so those are, you're comparing apples and oranges in that, you know, the way we handle those, because ROE, we get an actual invoice from them, and then we pull money from, like, those respective
But I think,
accounts.
I think if I understand Commissioner Razor's question is, for instance, here on the bi-county, it's got social security tax of $62,445. Is that baked into the $1,032,000?
No,
So that is,
this IMRF is the
no, down
counties.
here to line 26.
This is
Yeah.
the counties.
That's the,
And that's the county,
but that number does not encompass the 62,000.
not that I'm aware of. And if it is, we've never dispersed in that manner.
See, the
Ever.
reason
Okay.
why we do the extra 10% is because we figure on the new growth. But lately, we've not extended the new growth to the county's levy. We kept it ourselves.
No, I understand that. I understand that. It's, if I understood Ashley's comments of he takes this sheet and distributes back to whatever entity, whether that be mental health, whether that be by county or whoever, this is the figure these are the figures that you use.
No, we use the extension. I don't use any of these. So,
So this doesn't get passed?
well, I mean, I guess it gets passed by the commissioners.
I don't think they vote to pass on. They
No.
just get it, it's
They-
in their budget,
they
they
receive
look at
it.
it, but they never vote to pass that.
Oh, but it's in the budget though. That's what I'm saying.
It's in the budget, it's part of their
it's
budget
part of the
materials
budget
that they look at,
materials,
right?
Which you approve for mental health.
We got two
So
budgets.
what is, you have last year's mental health, the by county health budget in there, what does it say?
$400,000.
So I'm not understanding why we didn't pay them the 400,000,
Well, that's what I'm getting
because the
at.
budget was approved.
Right, but,
So the
but
commissioners are
this,
sitting here thinking that $400,000, which we approved in the budget, is what they got.
right, but the levy that was turned in December to Amanda's office had a number for 261,470 and 121,
So these extensions.
161.
These extensions are approved before we do the budget.
No, the levy's not approved before the budget. The levy is turned
Levy
in,
is,
the levy is
it's
turned
turned into
in
me in
in
December.
December.
But isn't the money that's given to these different
What
entities
is this?
within our
When did we
levy
give you
is
this?
determined by
In Dec-
people that pay
So
for
you
their
give me
property?
the paperwork.
That's where the extension comes in. You're already,
But if
This
they
number-
don't, but if you have a lot of people that aren't paying the property tax,
And
when
that
they go to
is
tax
for
sale,
the following
you
year.
don't have this money.
that doesn't matter. So look, this levy number, this line here is what you have levied for. And so the maximum amount I can give them is 121,161.
Okay.
If you go off of the extension, which removing the exemption portions and get to the EAV, if I collect 100%, I'm only going to be giving them 119,701.55 out of the 121,161. But what I'm telling you is that if you add the 121,161 plus that 261, you don't even come up with 400,000. You already cut it to begin with in that levy. And that's not, this one isn't independent. They're all the same.
Right.
Same way. So what I'm saying is that the levy was approved, which is after the budget is approved. Because the budget's approved and.
They do the levy right there in December, right
Yeah.
after the budget. they
Right
do.
after the budget's approved,
So-
then you do the levy.
So those two numbers combined, Jim, are 382,000.
Right.
But your budgeted amount,
Was
that you guys put in your budget was 400. So it's short 18,000 just off of your levy amount.
Right.
That's what we're trying to.
Right. But I was always told it was based on the amount of people coming in to pay their property tax, because if they don't, this is where we get that money. But if we don't get people coming in, people are letting their homes go to tax sale, that money doesn't get put.
Right, but I think that figure, column C, is based upon your best case scenario of everybody paying.
100%.
Right,
100% paid.
right, yeah.
So that number should equate to your budgeted amount. Because that is 100% people paying, there's not. Now, the farther column, the adjusted number, where it was 119, that is where, that's the actual to where people haven't paid, or there's been a TIF, or there's been whatever else.
Right.
That's the actual number as opposed to the budgeted number. But the budgeted number, that column C should be 400, that should be whatever's in your budget. And then that far column M will be the actual that you got, even though it was budgeted the 400. And that's what we're trying to figure out is,
Yeah.
where's the extra 18 at?
Well, I mean, here's another one. So child advocacy, you budgeted 25,000, but then you levied 26,528. So, I mean, that one you gave them an extra $1,528. Whenever the budget I mean, on page 39, says 25,000. So that's, I mean, they just don't match and coincide. Now, we can adjust those. I mean, we can adjust, this is what this is for, and we can adjust that number, to be 25,000, here, and reduce that and then add that into another line. But that's where this comes from and what you have to figure out. I don't even know, I didn't look at something
We're
like
just trying to
that.
get the understanding because we're gonna be doing this process coming up. And so
Yeah.
to try to unwrap what was done in the past to understand what needs to be done moving forward it's important.
Say the least.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
And it's not a constant percentage where,
Column M,
I mean, you talked about the first column, the other column, maybe 4%-ish, you said 19 over 4. And then lowering it, is it a constant percentage lowering it the second time?
No,
No.
I mean, it
It's all-
varies, it all varies. I mean, and like Commissioner Marlowe talked in the past, I think over the last maybe 5 years, it's been the board's intention to capture all the growth
For the county.
for the county, for what the county, so like,
That makes sense.
last year, I think it was, we, all highway plus the county funds were the ones that received that 6% increase. And the other ones were based off of the thought of what they submitted as a request. But, I'm trying to look at the programs on aging. See if I can. I mean, like the mental health fund, here's another one, for example. So mental health was 300,000. And mental health, right now, it was levied at 371,126. That's the 708. So, and then that's why, I mean, it's just, I understand the budget's, a piece of paper and can, change and everything else, but I mean, it's all over the place. I mean, hardly any of this matches down. Trying to see if I can find senior citizen. It's-
Okay, so back to the theme of a little bit of apples.
Yes,
We don't have a budget yet that these numbers match to, so you're matching this year's levies to last year's budget.
well, but I mean, that's because that's what's listed in, I mean, the literal levy is listed in the budget.
Understood,
So,
but when we say $300,000 budget for mental health or so, no, we haven't done that yet. So we can see that levy, that would be a number that in the past we would adjust. We have adjusted even since I've been here very briefly. So boy, do I understand the concern, and I share that concern, but I think we're aware that we need to make some adjustments. And we've certainly highlighted a couple that really need attention.
well, again, same thing goes with this, senior citizens. It was 75,795 that was provided. They asked for 82,000, and in the budget, it says that for the 24 pay 25 levy, which, was approved at 83,000. They only asked for 82, so I mean, it's just flooded with errors.
so the overall on that though, actually, when you total everything,
Mm-hmm.
does that equate to,
The total's accurate. I mean, so when you calculate the maximum extension amount, it is all, well, it's subject to P-tail with the exception of the, liability insurance.
Right.
And then the revenue recapture. But everything else, like the maximum amount is basically 6%. So if you look at what it was last year compared to what it is extended this year, it's 6%. So it's all within guidelines. It's just all what's within that it makes up, that you're allowed to move wherever you want. But again, it doesn't.
Well, what I'm saying is, does that number there, the 23?
Yeah.
Does that match up with the added budget, added approvals within the budget document?
I didn't add it up, but my first inclination is no, there's no way.
And that's, so then I'm trying to figure out then, I mean, when you're trying to pass your balanced budget and you show, here's what I budgeted for these, but here's what is on paper over here for collection of those, you're not going to be balanced.
Right.
Are you a deficit or are you?
Well, the budget
That's
itself.
something I think we'll have to look at.
The budget itself only focuses on these, is off of the corporate. Because, IMRF goes into a separate fund. So that's really not, it's not part of the budget. It goes into a trust and then that's what.
But it's a budgeted number within the budget document.
Yeah, yes.
That's all that I'm saying is, was there ever the focus to look to see that budgeted number equated to this levy request transfer number? Is that-
My thought is no.
Okay.
There was never a reconciliation that I've ever seen.
Okay.
That would show that it's, that it came out to that amount.
So again,
But on this has to be adjusted, turned in by Thursday. So, are we making any decisions?
What has to be?
This extension, this has to be done and turned in by Thursday.
If you want to move it to different.
If you want to move to
line
different line
items.
items or whatever's on it is what's gonna be turned over to me, and that's what I'm gonna have to collect. So technically, the only one that probably has to be changed is the public buildings. Has to be increased by approximately $27,000. Which last year, that was the increase, and then this corporate number was reduced by the same. Because the lease reads $2 million. Now, I also know that by the time I collect and get ready to disperse, maybe something.
Show me column C up at the top, corporate 1182. And then go down to the bottom and show me C and M. Like 23,078.75. And then go over to M. Adjusted.
So like the levy for corporate in 22, page 23 was 9,053,000. Then the levy for corporates in 23, page 24 was 11,692,000. Now, that was 11,987,720.
What's the column N or O where it says requested. I'm sorry, Q.
Q,
Did you type those in?
I typed it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was going through the budget book and then typing in, you know, any kind of notes that I could see. So,
In the IMRF, our rates went down.
yeah, so it was
So it had to go down.
in 23, page 24 is 1.1 million. And this time it was 1. FICA was, you know, at 970,000. Page 23, that was increased to 1.1 million. Which that number, honestly, I think should be higher because, I mean, our wages didn't go down. We have enough money in reserves and everything else, and most of those, there's only about $700,000 in the Social Security one at the moment. I don't know what the reserve requirement is. But we got enough, I think, to probably cover whatever we need for these, because I mean, I even talked to, you know, I talked with Baker Tilly, you know, and they said they would take a look at it, but they also need more time. And this is the problem, because we literally have no time, thanks to our prior assistants dumping us in a lab. This is what we're stuck with. So,
Help me understand, bottom line, your request or advice is we need to move $27,000 from one or various lines into 105.
Yeah.
Public building.
I mean, that's a minimum requirement because that's what the lease states, and it's always,
If we find, use the word healthy funds, I believe IMRF fund is healthy,
it is.
that we can pull at least some from there. Let's start working on what we can do. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I glanced at that number before I came in, but I couldn't quote it to you right now, but I would think we could pull the full amount. How's that?
You can.
That was 3.6.
I mean, there's like $1 million sitting in the IRS right now. So you got like 6. I guess I think there's 6 there. So it's not like, I mean, it will be fine. And like you mentioned, the rate has gone down.
Yeah.
You know, from where it was several years prior, we had it beat it up. So we could probably easily take that amount, out of that one. And cover it.
Actually, I would think we could take that from the 1,036,000 just to $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, and move forward. And know that this needs a lot of attention.
This year.
Yeah.
Right.
Going forward.
So it goes with it. Like,
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, let's just,
Right.
it's not like nothing, and just fix it.
So it's 26,874.40. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to change that, I'm going to reduce it.
They're equal. Go to your formula line.
No, I just typed it inside. Well, I equal that, sell minus the 26,674.
Right.
and leave everything else the same.
I think that's the other question you have is do you adjust? Maybe just the lack of knowledge makes it a tough one as to.
Yeah.
What do you do with the other ones that clearly you show the budgeted amount of a different number? That's the part I don't understand.
I don't know how these numbers got to this place.
I guess that's my issue is I don't have anywhere in my records, I know I don't have something in front of me, the worksheet that leads to this.
No,
So I don't know how this ended up here. I understand we all sign off on it. I get that. But I don't see the worksheets that we were advised from to know how to make adjustments. If there are adjustments that we need to make, we can sit right here and make them.
Yeah.
But I don't, are we creating an issue somewhere else?
I mean, I think the issue you would create would be your corporate amount would go down.
Right, understood.
And again, that's my ignorance on the process as to how you guys followed or what the different entities were expecting.
We haven't totaled the differences, right?
No, I mean, I could work on it, yes, there's something to talk.
This needs to be done first. For us, it needs to be done today, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, what are you wanting to know? I mean, like of the ones that we like levy on behalf of, what the amounts are and what
Well, so take for instance, health. All right, Ashley, so
Yeah.
you've got 392 was requested. In this line, it's 261, 470.
right?
What was but you said the budgeted amount was,
Big 400. But that also looks like it's not.
inclusive of IMRF.
I mean, 400 looks like it's inclusive of.
Right, so take off the non-IMRF, because that's a separate line for by-county health.
Right. Well, but, so you're talking,
And then does your formulas, your adjustments automatically flow? If you change that 261, 470 to 400,000, when you go over and slide over to your column M for adjustments, does it automatically adjust, or is that a separate formula or separate input numbers? Because column C right now represents the budgeted amount. Column M represents the adjusted amount that they're actually going to receive based upon the budgeted amount, times the multiplier 0.17, all those.
it would if, well, that's the other thing. I pulled this, I took it directly out the paper and then just exported it into Excel.
Okay,
So I've got
so no formula.
But I asked Janice, and I don't know if she's had a chance to call DevNet, if there's a way for us to import that report directly into Excel with all of the formulas. I mean, I just, I got it embedded in this thing at 3, whatever. And I just ran by and asked Janice if it's possible, and she's like, I don't have a clue. So. I mean, that part I don't have, and I apologize. So.
Janice coming up, but a lot of times if you just tell us like the dollar amount, then we can figure out percentages.
Well, I think what Russ was trying to see is if like we change this particular one right here, you know, that field
Mhm.
to whatever, 3 something, then, or
Yeah.
280 change to make it where it's a total of 400,000. Will it figure it all up and give us everything like this number here? You know, from the non-PTEL extension and then take in the.
Yeah, I mean, she can do that. She'll do it downstairs on the computer in DevNet, and she can mess with the numbers. We just have to reduce it on another line item. You can't go over the amount of journey
Right.
total ask.
It's.
Yeah, see, because if you submit budget on the basis of what you.
Well, I guess that's another question.
And then you go and hire.
Change it.
Then you get
Well,
$100,000.
She'll have to reduce it on the other lines because your total at the bottom can't go up.
Right, yeah.
So you can mess around with the numbers to get it.
We don't have, well, we do have a couple of expenses. I think they break down.
But you got.
So, yeah.
Basically, you can, as long as it don't exceed
Oh, yeah.
PTEL limiting rate and the maximum rate.
So.
So,
But I
you
mean,
guys, this is what you guys submit to us for the levy. So I don't
There
know
are
if we've
big
ever,
questions on the new.
I don't remember her ever, I don't know, just Kim kind of took care of it, but I never looked at the budget to see what was in that.
That's
This.
fine.
Because it don't match if that's what was budgeted in the budget, just don't match.
Yeah, we don't release the budget versus the levy.
It shouldn't.
Makes sense.
Is that?
But this is this one from, you want me to make, you want to look at it, this is the one that was submitted in November, December, for this. I don't believe it's.
It is a photocopy.
It is a copy, okay, you can
write
write
it
it.
however you want.
This would be at 261 and 121.
So that's what she puts over there in that C column, whatever comes off that sheet.
I still don't know how these numbers, how they're writing.
Janice, did you have a chance to ask, can you export that?
I have not, I have a conference call at the end of this afternoon, I can find out.
Because what Brett was wanting to know was like, you know, I took the sheet and then exported it myself. So I got the fields, but no, you know, no calculation, no formulas. So what he was asking is like, so if we got 121, you know, 161 here for that, and we're going to say we're doing 400,000, changing this number to 279,
That's what we.
you know, right here,
But that's.
would it calculate all the way through?
Yeah, we have to back into the rate, so if you want to, you know, change the dollar amount, you have to back into that rate. So, yeah, you can,
Consider we.
Usually, last time you can sit and figure, play with it.
yeah,
To get
that's
the
what I
numbers.
generally do, is
I just think my debt is going to actually, you know,
yeah,
calculate that.
it may,
for us.
and, you know, it's possible it has that capability, I just have to talk to Annie, because I don't know. I can check my email and see if I can find out if there's instructions.
Well, at least we have.
Unfortunately, it's new to me too, so I don't know.
I understand.
Usually, you gotta do something earlier on the entities that submit, that submitted and thought they were getting their budgeted amounts.
Until they
They're
get.
gonna be done. That's the problem with Thursday, and I understand where you're at, too.
Well. I'm gonna be treasurer.
Well, and it's good because because there's a guy.
Hope you understand that question, you have to try to. Like Mickey gives.
Right.
Oh. That amount is levied as the county health. that amount is levied as liability insurance on employment compensation ordinance. So would that money go into those funds?
It never has. I mean,
I'm-
I'm not saying that it maybe isn't in the calculation, but as far as the distributions are concerned, I look back, I've never, we take in,
I'll say.
so whenever, you know, we have a bi-county health, you know, that we levy, and all the money goes into this fund. So whenever I submitted
And that
money,
would be this up here.
right. Well,
So then my question is what defines this one? And it says this one is levied as a IMRF tax. Does that go in with all of the other? And then we should have been dispersing their fraction from this, their fraction from this, their fraction from these funds. And then that added to that gets up to that number. We're actually getting the
I mean,
budget.
that's possible, but it's not, I mean,
But
it's
we haven't
never,
been doing it.
never shown to do that.
Well, and I understood.
Because whenever I've got, like, you get a report,
I mean, it could be the reason we have a healthy IMRF fund because we've been putting money in there.
that we shouldn't, you know.
And not pulling it out.
Right. But so, like, here's the bi-county fund.
Yep.
You know, and all I've remitted to them in this, you know, 12/1 to now is 180,000. And there's no, all the liability money, and all of the, you know, the workers' comp and everything else, but I mean, workers' comp don't collect hardly anything. I mean, that all is in our funds. And if you look at the distribution, you know, from the collector's fund, it's not, you know, it's not there.
So
That's where the money comes from.
where does that go? Well, they have their own. Where does,
That would, well, I mean, perhaps
this one has the.
perhaps it's in this IMRF one, but there's no breakdown as to what portion is what.
Understood. Again,
Yeah.
we're trying to.
No, I know, yeah.
But I think we may be collecting the money, not putting it in health tax,
Right.
in the other funds.
Everything else.
So do we want to work on getting it all in the health funds, or do we need to work on the equation, pull their portion out of those others? And I guess I put that as a question on the table for everybody.
Amanda's got a document there that was filed that matches those numbers.
This is the levy that we get. So every entity gives us a levy by the end of December for us to put in the system and do the taxes on the following year. And that's where we get those figures. And then once she puts it in, then if it's reduced by P-TEL or whatever, it will go down some, but these are the amounts. This is what they're asking, what they want.
That's not, though. It is the problem.
What do you mean?
So from what I understand, those numbers are column C,
Right?
but those aren't what the entities asked for, and those aren't the numbers that were budgeted for by the county board.
Well, it's what's submitted as a levy to us, but yeah,
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying.
That's what comes from the entities that are levy.
no, That is-
We get one from the entities, but this one came from you as an entity. This is what you guys submitted.
Prepared your levy. I don't know, did Tim
This-
prepare the levy?
this is what you get from the entities.
That's, right.
So in this one here, it indicates that, you know, by county wanted, salaries, insurance, liability, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It has it all listed out separately. There is no 261 figure that's listed on this one, but 261 made it to your prepared levy that Kim gave you guys. But where that, or how that came from, normally would be through the budgeting process. So you normally would go through the budgeting process. My county's asking for 400,000. Well, we don't have 400,000 to give them. We're gonna give them 370. You put 370 down. Now you go back and you do your levy. Of that 370, IMRF levy is X dollars. general is this dollar, but that's how you get to your number. But what we don't know on this one is where that's the piece we're missing. Like, I don't know where
And
that
that
number
doesn't
comes
get
from.
a notice that it's been reduced.
According to Kevin, no. But they never got an indication from the board that their requested amount was being reduced.
In the same way with the mental health. We never got a notification that was being
And
reduced.
it's a process.
Not until the audit comes out or the budget comes out.
Right.
Then you can go back and say,
Well,
okay,
but-
this is what we requested, but this is what we're going to do.
But that's where the levy becomes the issue, because the budgeted amount that's posted is
Right.
400,000.
So
That doesn't add up to 400,000. The IMRF and general doesn't add up to the 400,000.
And I understand where Commissioner Razor's coming from, but even if you go with that line of thinking, you would still have to levy. I mean, one, if you just take the salary and insurance line, that's 270,951. So it's already, even if you say, well, that's, we levy for that amount in the health, we didn't. We still gave $600 short right there alone. And then if we separately levied for IMRF for them, and it's 202,066, and it says 161. So I mean, we're $80,000 less on that. So I mean, maybe the liability one is embedded in something, or the social security tax one, but I don't, the rest of it still doesn't add up. Commissioner Razor, I just realized, I mean, the IMRF one that says 202,066, there's a separate line.
Understood.
And then we're only collecting one, I mean, we send that to them, but that's $80,000 below, what they requested. I don't, to me, for that one, in particular, there's no reason why we would split those up, but 80 in our IMRF and then 80.
Right, understood that on that one, but on the unemployment,
Yeah. It's not ever, to my knowledge, I've never been told that it was embedded in there.
Right.
And that we were to send them money outside of that. And it's not coded that way in the collection parts, because what happens is, when we collect the money, like these fund, those, fund numbers here is how it's the tax system, accounts for those respective items, and that's how they allocate it. And then for us to then send it, to put a check against that amount.
The levies just go
So,
straight in
but,
as it
you know,
is.
I'm not saying that it's not anything's possible.
How their breakdown is.
And I mean, we're learning stuff daily now of how certain things were coded in the old system, or how it was calculated, which it wasn't calculated, incorrectly, but it was calculated in a different way as to what Devon's system comes. So.
So I think it comes back to the document that was filed and signed off by the board in November or December of last year. They correspond to column C numbers, without a doubt. How or why, I don't know. So I don't know that there's adjustments. What's on there for the building, for the PVC on that document?
I think it has.
The 2 million.
It has 2 million.
It's 2 million on that one,
Yes.
on that document?
Yes.
But it's not on,
Well, but that's because you have to take out all of these, when the extensions come out and the
It
TIFs
reduces it because
and
it's
the
in the
enterprise
detail.
zones and the overlaps, that's what reduces.
no, but on C, what's?
It's 2 million.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
So those numbers are exactly what's in the spreadsheet. So the question becomes, do you guys have the authority to do, I guess you have the authority to modify however you want. I just don't understand the logic as to why that modified from your budget.
Oh, thank you.
It's kind of one of those, you hate to take out a screw that you don't know.
We don't know what's
integral
going to
part
take
it
apart,
is.
and the whole thing is flat apart.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. So what happens if we leave it this way?
Well, I think the inevitable is there's gonna be some entities that are gonna get less than what their per se budget reflected they were gonna, they thought they would be.
But they've been receiving that, I mean, obviously, for the last 3 years. We haven't given, from when I researched it, we haven't given by county their full amount.
So we make the change on,
Already.
we make the change on the PVC to 2 million. We'll leave everything else alone and we fix it in this budget cycle.
That's probably the path of least resistance.
I mean, the worst case is if you don't adjust it on the County, or I mean, on the PVC, you're still gonna owe, it's just gonna come out of your
It's just
corporate.
gonna come out of
So
corporate.
whether you take it now with an adjustment, or you take it later, it's gonna take more action one way or the other. So if we're here and you wanna do it now, you can do it. You just know your corporate, otherwise you leave it alone and then you take the money from your corporate and pay the difference between what was levied versus what was there. Because the levy can only be used for that purpose.
Right,
That's the kicker to it.
Right.
Your corporate can be used for whatever reason and whatever you need it to be.
Corporate can go that way, we can't take it back.
Correct. So your safest would be to leave it.
Yeah.
And then pay the payment out of corporate, because if you find out that it's in here that you did it, you can't take it back. From the legal standpoint.
Well, technically, you've got a revenue recapture of 120,000.
Yeah.
You can say,
Right.
you're gonna earmark that at the later date,
Right.
for that, and you just leave. And then when we start budgeting and start looking into
Sort it out.
sort it out and make sure that our levy actually matches what is approved. And that if we do decrease the request, that we can notify, just like we notify.
So what is the recapture revenue? What is that? What is that?
That is,
It's not new growth.
no, that is all, so we extend now, and so this is the amount that we're supposed to collect. Throughout the course of the tax cycle, there are the COEs that come in that increase or decrease a lot of, or required amounts for the tax bill. I give a report to the clerk's office every year for the entire year of what the net amount of those COEs did. So that $120,223 is the amount of funds or money that the county was not able to receive in the prior year, based off of those COEs. So you thought you were gonna get, $120,223 that you didn't receive. So therefore, there's I can't remember what the statute is, but the statute says that you are allowed to then recapture those funds
In the next,
in the next
cycle.
next cycle. All right. That number changes every year. In 23, 24, that amount was $92,578.53. In 22, 23, that amount was $192,737.88. So it's all based off of what, is cycled through and what's received and processed, in that time. And that's allowable for every taxing body, every entity, whenever we put it in there. I give a total amount, and then when Janice puts it in there, it calculates it based off of their respective district. Clear as mud.
No, I understand now. I just didn't know what it was,
Yeah.
All right, so, gentlemen, I think we leave this, my opinion is we leave this the way it is. And we put it up for the next budget cycle.
No,
Require a vote,
we've recognized it.
we recognize it, right, so.
No, it just needs, you to sign off on
I
it.
just need to sign
Yeah,
off.
that's all, just so we can, it's what we've already been submitted, so.
Right. So I'll sign that form for the these extensions. Any other discussion on this? Okay.
Do we not need to vote on this?
You've already voted on the budget.
Okay. The animal control supervisor contract, we have a draft of that. And you guys comfortable with that? I can send that to Clay. Have him sign that, or do we need to discuss?
The only thing, and I discussed this with Brett, was that, on the residency, if we've got an allowance somewhere built in where if the example being, he's in the process of getting residents drawing into the 6-month period. For some reason, there's a snafu, maybe the people that own the home that he's buying don't move out for another month or 2 months or 3 months or go extend, but yet you can show he's in the process. Talking with Brett or conversation, correct me if I'm wrong, Brett, that we can come back at that point and maybe readjust, reconsider, grant an extension.
Yeah, I think there's room to move
So-
that if we have to.
Yeah, so I didn't know if we needed language, as far as,
No, your job,
at least show that you're in the process.
yeah, your job application requirements were that you live within 1 year, so that's the reason it's listed in the contract that way.
Yeah.
If it comes to, and this is what I explained to Danny yesterday as well, a situation such as Josh, where he said, hey, I need a little bit more time, here's the situation. You, the board, can make that decision at that point in time, whether or not you do or you don't want to address that. So it would be cause for termination if the board so desired, then whatever was happening.
I noticed we defined no salary. We need to define a salary to go on here, do we not?
Yeah. That's
Yes, so my understanding is we're gonna have a executive session today to discuss different salaries.
The animal control stipend, we need to once again talk about that in executive session. And if that concerns an employee, the sign language stipend, once again, that is on the employee in manager's office. And we need to have a discussion about that.
Right.
And the internal auditor contract, we need to talk about the salaries in that and also that contract. In executive. And the EMA, I would, that is another thing we need to talk about since we haven't had conversations about that yet. Those items we're taking in the executive, and we'll come back out. Discuss what we need to do there. I don't have anything else on resolution ordinance, we have appointments. Anybody need to take a public comment?
I have something.
Okay. Speaking of the internal auditor, I've asked Mayor to get us a quote on the office. And that was a budgeted item, I think, in the office. I got your quote on that. You have any comments, concerns on this?
Is she gonna go in the bureau office or?
Yeah.
That's right. So,
That's what I'm planning on.
okay.
Now, you're completely out, right?
With the exception of the copier and the column center, and that's coming out tomorrow.
So he's gonna have that vacated completely and
PDC repaint.
they're gonna pay. Right. And she will need a computer in that office, and this estimate covers that. Do you want me to go ahead and get that ordered? Okay. Once again, that was covered in the budget. I don't have anything on animal control facility, but Jim, you did?
Yeah, I just received a phone call from Mark Dillon at the very last, prior to the meeting. He sent me an email and I had Stephanie forward it to you, but I'll just make a copy for you guys. Basically it says he's received confirmation from Baker McGee on the pricing to add back the items removed from the project like values engineering. All prices are still valid except for the walk-in freezer, which has increased by $275. Also, the ultimate bid price for the epoxy flooring and the video surveillance are still valid at the bid price. So those, if you're in agreement, I'll draft a change order to add the following items. And so what we need to do is approve the agreement here, and the increase of $275 for the walk-in freezer. And I said I would bring it before the board. And let it know. Is there any questions?
I don't have any questions.
No. Okay. Well,
Would you like to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion then that we approve the $275 increase. Also for the correct change order. So wants to submit
Right,
in the approval of $275 for the increased price of the walk-in freezer.
okay.
That's my motion.
I'll second that. Any other discussion?
Just for the record, the change order total is $170,355.
Okay, roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yes.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Reister.
Okay,
I have a final motion from Commissioner Razor for the UCCI meeting yesterday. That is for travel only, it's mileage. We go 350 miles for reimbursement total of $235 even. I'll make a motion that we approve this travel reimbursement, it's $225.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Okay.
Jim Reister.
Thank
Actually, yeah, for Arkansas.
I do.
You need exactly, okay, yeah.
Three requests. First one's for Village of Freeman Spur. Got one invoice for Horner Ship Run and three different invoices with CNC pump or trash baskets, flanges, Shittyville Station, construction engineering. And total amount is $37,150.43. We got another one for Village of Craneville. So pay estimate number one for Scott Eskew Construction. And then invoice for PSC Engineering for their services and design and administration for $54,479.65. And that small one for Southern Illinois Coalition for the Homeless, just reimbursement for housing stabilization services for August, $74.91.
Brad, you have something? for us?
Yes, sir. As we are continuing to process moving into the Ross Construction Building, there are a couple of final issues that Bob Runge has asked the board to consider. And there was a lift truck that is currently still in the facility, and there is some metal racking that is in the warehouse in the pole barn across the parking lot. Both of those were offered to the sheriff for consideration. The price on the lift truck was $3,000 and the metal racking was $500. I understood it was, Bob Runge had communicated that the sheriff was going to bring that to the board for consideration. I don't know where it's been with the sheriff, but both the forklift and the metal racking are still in the facility. And Bob, when last I had spoke to him, asked if there had been any movement on that, because he's either going to come pick the stuff up or he wants to try to close this out. So I can tell you moving forward that both the racking and the forklift would be of asset to the county, not only my department in particular, but also to anyone who occupies that warehouse space. So I would ask the board to consider if funds are available to make those purchases. If you decide to move forward with those purchases and you wish for me to reach out to Ross to get an invoice to complete that process, I can work on that in lieu of communicating with the sheriff at this point.
I understand the value here of both the racking and with the truck. But my question is this not part of the original purchase? Was that
No, there was no equipment.
no equipment?
No, it was for building and land on the gym.
So we're going to be in the bed with things that they left behind that are taking or
So not that I'm aware of, that was the only last two pieces, because when I asked for all of the keys to the facility, he had come over and we had done a walkthrough on the property, and I had asked about that, and he told me that was a conversation he was having with the sheriff. There are some items that are still outside. There's some bricks and some other supplies that I'm assuming we still want removed from the property because it technically belongs to him, but it's on the property. But if we don't continue to exercise getting him to remove that, then it becomes our problem. So that's what I understand.
well, I don't have a problem getting the equipment in the rack. We discussed that. Make the should remain where it's at, you know. We could probably use it.
Be assigned to the facility.
So, I don't have a problem. What is the total cost on it?
It'd be 3,500 total for both.
I don't believe you could buy that piece of equipment for that amount of money anywhere else.
I'm pretty confident you can't, because I couldn't do it when I was in
I know I
business.
could. So, I do think it has a value in a facility like that, so if the sheriff's not interested, I believe the county will be.
Do we need to notify insurance?
Yeah, something like that. would have to be
Yeah,
insurance. And
Does it require an additional rider?
the thing I'm concerned about the fork truck is do you have to be certified to operate it? And I believe you do. Person has to be certified before they can operate it.
I don't have a problem purchasing it, but I think we need to make sure we got everything. If it's a certification, or need to get that checked out.
And we need to make sure that people aren't getting on it that aren't certified.
Exactly.
So that was my first concern about that. I mean, $3,500, for what that is, I think that's a good deal. And I think it's gonna come in useful over there. There's always something happening. Brian's always doing stuff that needs to be moved.
I think you're correct, we need to check for liability on the grade.
Get that, so temporarily, we got the head mount, we get the sign.
Well, that would be a contingency item. But we had money budgeted for contingency for security and other things on those properties. So it's in the budget, it's spent. So how do you get us an invoice for that, would you?
Okay. And you want me to investigate how to become certified to drive
Yes.
that? Okay.
All right.
All right. And then
1 hour OSHA training.
Is that what it is, when our ocean training?
is it available online, do you know, or is it in person?
Available online.
All right, well, we'll
So we need to
investigate.
keep a log on that, so that would be your responsibility at your building, to make sure that whoever uses that is logged.
Yes, sir. I'll take care of that. Okay, so I am directed to get an invoice for both the racking and the forklift and to, okay,
And then give that to Stephanie, she'll,
Start the work.
that close, she'll write a claim for that, we'll get them taken care of.
I am encountering building maintenance issues that currently I've been taking out of my office budget
Yeah.
to address. However, I am starting to run low on funds in that particular line item. one of the biggest things is I'm gonna need to replace a lot of the fluorescent bulbs if they're replaceable. Some of them may be ballast issues. So we will attempt to replace the bulbs first. If that is unsuccessful, then I will need to have a conversation with you guys about getting an electrician in there to look at whether or not we need to do an LED replacement like we did in this building, or if we want to move forward with just replacing ballasts and stuff. But lighting, a tremendous amount of lighting is out in that building. I don't think they addressed it for a very long time. I did purchase a security system for that, which we are currently installing. So we will have that all up and that will be in place. However, we do have issues with we do not have any of the emergency lighting that works, and there are no smoke detectors in any of the buildings. So that is also going to be part of the cost that I'm going to have to incur to increase or to bring the building just up to occupancy code.
Sure.
So in doing so, there's a very good chance that my general office budget line item may go over this for this year. If you wish me to continue to purchase that stuff out of that particular line, just understand that I am already at.
Went out on that line. Why don't you get us a list
Okay,
of what you want to do and some costs associated with that?
Okay.
And then we'll make that up contingency.
I will work on that right now, sir.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks, Brian.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Jim, do you have anything that you'd like to talk about the fall cleanup?
Yeah, worked with, Gary Pearson once again, and, he sent over the contract for us to sign. This is the contract I believe that Brett last time, looked over and approved. Everything I believe is good on here. I looked, the dates should be correct. I think overall, the spring cleanup cost us about $2,700. It wasn't as big a turnout, but we had to deal with the storm. It was the weekend of the storm. I look forward to this being a very good, well-attended cleanup. And I'm telling you, they ran it excellent over there. It was a good program. So, I just like I make a motion then, to approve the contract with Republic Services for the fall cleanup day. The only other change we made, we just kind of cleaned up the, approved items list. I think we took out the car batteries. They're in the prior one, it said only limited to one battery. Gary said that didn't matter, just take that off.
Okay.
So unlimited car batteries. I believe that was pretty much the only other change we made, other than just rearranging some wording on the latex paint. Only if it's treated chemical, and we put no oil-based paints below with no household chemicals. Because every now and then people will ask about household chemicals. That also includes flammable. Well, we put that on the flammables in case someone is to have an old gas container, old kerosene or fuel or anything, so. Can't pick anything. So I make a motion then that we approve the contract with Republic Services for the fall cleanup.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson,
Okay.
Jim Marlowe,
Okay,
Jim Ricer.
so we can get these on the, out to the media. For October the 11th at 7 to 12.
Okay, does anybody have anything else for this meeting? As part of the meeting? If not, I make a motion that we go into executive session. What's that?
5 ILCS 122C1.
In that statute, I make a motion to go into executive session. Is there a second? Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Right.
Jim Ricer.
Yeah. I didn't ask you, George, if you had, didn't you?
No, I don't have anything. Yeah.
If you got any problems, today's All right, welcome back. Welcome back to session. It's 12:01 p.m. Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. Can I have a roll call, please?
Tim Atkinson,
Present.
Jim Marlowe,
Present.
Jim Razor.
Present.
All right, gentlemen. For the animal control supervisor contract, I will take that contract to him. And once he signs it, then I'll bring it back to you for board approval. Okay? Animal control stipend. Is there any action on this? Would somebody like to make a motion? Hearing no motion, this item dies for lack of motion. Sign language stipend. Is there any action on this? Would like to make a motion? Hearing no motion, this item dies for lack. Internal auditor contract. I will send the contract to the internal auditor, and once she approves it, signs it, I'll bring it back to you guys for final approval. EMA stipend. Is there any action on this? Anybody want to make a motion with this? Hearing no motion, this item dies. Is there anything else for this meeting?
Everything is, make sure that you give the signed contract to Gary Pearson.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So is there anything else? There's no motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson,
Okay.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Razor.
Yes.
Everyone? Stephanie, do you have the original